You were told there's a path, that if you just work hard enough, believe deeply enough, love passionately enough, you'll find it. But what if there is no path?
Imagine sitting alone in your apartment late at night, the glow of your phone screen casting shadows on the walls. You scroll endlessly, watching others live lives that seem so full: laughter, achievement, love. And yet, in that quiet moment, a thought creeps in. What if none of it really matters? What if all the things you've been striving for, recognition, purpose, happiness, are just stories we tell ourselves to make existence feel less empty? But what if the real power isn't in finding meaning, but in accepting that there may be none? This is the foundation of Albert Camus' philosophy, the quiet defiance that turns uncertainty into strength. Camus famously said, "You will never be happy if you continue to search for what happiness consists of. You will never live if you are looking for the meaning of life." These words hold a dark, unsettling truth. We are conditioned to believe that happiness is a prize waiting at the end of some grand quest. That meaning is something to be found, like a buried artifact, waiting for those who dig deep enough. But what if there is no treasure, no grand revelation? What if we are alone in a universe that does not care? The weight of that realization is terrifying, but in that terror lies the seed of true liberation. From childhood, we are taught to seek purpose, to chase a dream, to believe that life is a puzzle with an answer hidden somewhere beneath layers of effort and experience. We are told that if we work hard enough, love deeply enough, suffer meaningfully enough, we will eventually unlock some higher truth. The idea is comforting. It suggests that there is a destination, a final point where everything makes sense, where the pain of existence is justified and where our struggles have been leading us all along. But reality does not unfold in neat narratives. There is no guiding hand placing signposts along the way. The truth is far colder. Life offers no inherent meaning, and the universe is indifferent to our search for one. For many, this is an unbearable thought. It gnaws at the very foundation of what we believe gives life value. If there is no meaning, no greater purpose, then what is the point of any of it? This fear drives people to seek comfort in constructed illusions, religion, ideology, tradition, systems that promise meaning where there is none. But what happens when those illusions begin to crack? When faith falters, when ideologies disappoint, when tradition suffocates instead of reassures? The realization is stark. Meaning was never there to begin with. Yet, in this abyss of meaninglessness, there is an opportunity. If there is no ultimate purpose, then we are free. We are free from the weight of expectation, from the suffocating need to justify every moment of our existence. We no longer have to chase something that does not exist. Instead, we can turn our attention to the present, to the sheer experience of living, unburdened by the need to fit it into a larger story. This is where Camus' absurdism offers an escape, not in the form of nihilistic despair, but in defiant joy. If life has no predetermined meaning, then we are the ones who create it. Imagine standing in a vast, empty desert with no path before you. For years, you have been told that there is a hidden road, that if you search long enough, you will find it. But what if there is no road? What if there was never one to begin with? At first, the idea is terrifying. The mind rebels against the thought of true, boundless uncertainty. But then, something shifts. You begin to understand. If there is no set path, you are free to walk in any direction. The absence of meaning does not imprison you. It liberates you. This is the hidden strength of embracing meaninglessness. It strips away the false comfort of predetermined purpose and replaces it with something far more powerful: the ability to define your own existence. You no longer live under the illusion that fulfillment is something external to be attained. You cease to measure your worth against arbitrary goals. Instead, you begin to see life as it is: raw, chaotic, indifferent, yet full of moments that can be savored for no reason other than their existence. Think of the artist who paints with no intention of selling their work, the musician who composes with no desire for an audience, the wanderer who travels not to arrive anywhere but simply to move. Their joy is not derived from some external validation or ultimate goal, but from the act itself. When you abandon the need to extract meaning from every experience, you begin to truly experience. The beauty of a sunset does not require purpose. The laughter of a stranger does not need justification. The feeling of the wind against your skin is enough simply because it is. But society resists this mindset. The world thrives on the illusion of meaning because it keeps people in line. Governments, religions, corporations, all rely on the belief that life has a predetermined purpose, one that conveniently aligns with their systems. People are easier to control when they believe their suffering serves a greater goal. They will toil endlessly for promised rewards that never come. They will submit to rules and expectations that confine them, all for the comfort of believing they are part of some grand design. But when a person stops seeking meaning, when they refuse to be shackled by illusions, they become dangerous. They can no longer be manipulated by fear, no longer pacified by empty promises. So, what do you do when you stop searching for meaning? You live. Not as a means to an end, not in pursuit of some distant answer, but simply because you can. You immerse yourself in the world, not seeking to understand it, but to experience it. You create, you love, you struggle, and you endure. Not because it will lead to something greater, but because the act itself is all there is. In this, there is a quiet defiance, a refusal to be broken by the void. A recognition that while life may not have meaning, it does not need to. It is enough simply to be. Many of us spend our lives searching for a singular purpose, some ultimate justification for our existence. We chase careers, relationships, belief systems, and achievements, anything that might quiet the gnawing void within. But what happens when we grasp them, only to find our hands still empty? This is the absurd condition, the cruel joke of existence. Our deepest yearning collides with a silent, indifferent universe. The more we demand answers, the louder the silence grows, and so we become desperate. We cling to faith, ideologies, illusions that promise structure, yet deliver only further disillusionment. But Camus offers an alternative. He does not tell us to despair, he tells us to rebel, not with anger, but with defiance. Not by seeking meaning, but by embracing the meaningless. So, how do we respond to the absurd? Camus' answer is simple yet profound. We accept it. We stop asking the unanswerable. We stop begging the universe to give us something it never promised. And in that surrender, we find something unexpected: power. When we stop searching for an external purpose, we free ourselves from the chains of expectation. We become the creators of our own existence. If life has no inherent meaning, then we are free to shape our own. This is the essence of the absurd hero. Consider Sisyphus, the tragic figure from Greek mythology. Doomed to roll a boulder up a hill for eternity, only to watch it tumble down each time, his fate seems like the purest form of suffering. But Camus flips the narrative. He envisions Sisyphus not as a tormented soul, but as a victor. In embracing his fate, in accepting the absurdity of his condition, Sisyphus robs it of its cruelty. He finds joy not in reaching the top, but in the act itself. His struggle, devoid of reward, is enough. And so he is free. He becomes unstoppable. What does this mean for us? It means that when we abandon the need for external validation, status, success, approval, we become untouchable. The fear of failure evaporates because failure itself loses meaning. If life is just a series of experiences, then no setback can define us. If there is no ultimate goal, then every moment is its own reward. We are no longer imprisoned by the fear of wasted time, because time itself is no longer a currency to be spent. It is simply lived. This shift in mindset creates a terrifying kind of strength. When you stop searching for meaning, you strip life of its ability to disappoint you. You no longer seek fairness, so you are never disillusioned by its absence. You no longer expect happiness to be earned, so you find it in the smallest, simplest things. The way sunlight slants through a window, the laughter of a stranger, the feeling of wind against your skin, the act of creating for the sake of creation. But let's take this further. If embracing meaninglessness is the key to freedom, then why does society resist this idea so fiercely? Why do we cling to the illusion of purpose? The answer lies in control. Religion, institutions, traditions, they all thrive on the premise that life has a predefined purpose, one that we must adhere to. This keeps people in line, shackled to expectations that are not their own. To reject meaning is to reject these structures. It is to say, I will not live according to rules designed to comfort rather than to liberate. And that is terrifying to those who benefit from order. When a person stops searching for a grand design and simply exists on their own terms, they become dangerous. They become unpredictable. They are no longer controlled by guilt, by promises of reward, or by threats of punishment. They live not to fulfill a script, but to experience the rawness of existence itself. Imagine waking up one day with no obligations to any ideology, no weight of expectation pressing down on you. What would you do? Where would you go? What choices would you make if you truly embraced the idea that life is neither fair nor unfair, neither meaningful nor meaningless, just is? This is the core of Camus's philosophy. To live fully not because it leads somewhere, but because every moment, in its fleeting insignificance, is all we ever have. But here's the paradox. By accepting the absurd, we often find more fulfillment than those who chase meaning relentlessly. The artist who creates simply because they must, rather than for recognition, finds more joy in their work. The person who loves without expecting permanence loves more deeply. The traveler who moves without destination sees more than the one who follows a map. When you expect nothing, everything becomes extraordinary. This is the secret. This is the strength. Albert Camus did not believe in false hope. He did not believe in salvation, but he did believe in revolt, a quiet, defiant joy in the face of absurdity. When you stop searching for meaning and instead surrender to life's chaos, you become unstoppable. You become like Sisyphus, pushing the rock, not in suffering, but in silent rebellion. Not because you think you will win, but because you no longer need to. The struggle itself is enough. So the question is no longer, what is the meaning of life? The question is, what will you do now that you know there is none? This is a liberating yet terrifying realization. The lack of intrinsic meaning upsets the comforting fictions we hold on to, fantasies of fate and design and an orderly universe. For some, it may feel like peering into the abyss, unable to see the path forward for the absence of lampposts there. But that uncertainty is boundless freedom. Without a script, without a regularly defined character to play, we are free to write our own narratives. This is where real power comes in. And once you admit that life has no meaning, you are no longer beholden to whatever society, tradition, or ideology decrees. You didn't come here to fulfill someone else's version of success. You do not have to pursue goals that have been created for you. Instead, you become the architect of your own life, walking the road not to get where you're going, but because you are walking. As in the Greek myth of Sisyphus, who alone among mortals was condemned to push a boulder up a hill, only to see it roll back down again. The image is tragic, but Camus repurposes it. He envisions Sisyphus smiling. Why? Because Sisyphus, by embracing the absurdity of his being, claims it. He isn't shoving the boulder in search of some eternal triumph. He pushes it because it is his job, his fight, his defiance of the abyss. And in that rebellion there is a peculiar sort of joy. His fate is unchanged, but his view is. He robs it of its power over him. What will you do instead now that you know there's no greater meaning? You could throw up your hands, let existence stomp you into the dust with all its malign neglect. Or if you mean, you could do the much more radical thing, you could live. Not because life is going somewhere, not because it has a greater purpose, but because it is your life to live. This is the hallmark of the absurd hero. Rather than looking for meaning or purpose, the absurd hero finds the purpose within the existing process of living. Create for creation itself, to love without expectation, to wander and not have a destination. The lack of meaning does not need to be a vacuum needing to be filled. It can be an open terrain where anything can happen. The world hates this frame because the world is about control. It trains people to believe that their value is contingent on being productive, that every struggle must have a purpose, that happiness is something earned. But once you let go of these illusions, you become invulnerable. You are no longer a hostage of false promises, no longer waiting for your life to begin. You are already living. So the real question is not why life lacks meaning, but what will you do with the freedom of knowing that it does not need one? In this act of defiance, we are not giving in to despair, but rising above it. We become makers of our own joy, fighters against the nothingness. We laugh at nihilism not because we deny its truth, but because we will not be broken by it. We tell stories, sing songs, paint canvases, give love, live life. Not because any of it matters in some larger cosmic way, but because it matters to us, here and now, in this moment. And that is enough. That has always been enough.